Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Newspaper Headlines Analysis. My name is Orayemi Adelak. When I have with me in the studios, Temitope Eshola, a public affairs analyst and historian. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Let's start from Vanguard. I have this headline that says, Anambra, INEC vows enhance resort management, credible poll. That headline has this right. ITP warns IPoB, ESN against disruptions. Let's talk about this headline actually, because apart from INEC, coming out to say that we have all it takes to conduct a free and fair election, the IGP is also warning the likes of IPoB and some persons who have the intention of disrupting the elections to say, okay, we have everything on ground to ensure that there's a free and fair election. And of course, this is the first election that the new chair will be handling. How well do you see this election? How well do you think we are going to achieve a free and fair election? Because a lot of Nigerians are going to judge based on this Anambra election, really.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of persons are going to judge him or watch. This election is going to show whether he can be trusted. Moving on. Yeah. Well, personally, I feel regardless of the outcome of the elections, his real colors will be shown at the general election itself. But for the people of Anambra, they need to elect a leader that they want. So if they want to still go with the incumbent governor, good. If they want to change government, they should be allowed to do so through the ballot. So my own concern would be how best the security apparatus puts their house in order to allow for easy movement on the day of the election, and as well as the political climate, the politicians themselves, the governor and the likes. How are they also going into the election? Are they going into it with this do or die approach that they must win at all costs? Because these are the elements subtly that enhances electoral violence, thuggery, and the like. So if the leadership in the state themselves communicates that, you see, this election is not do or die, we are going into this place, let your voice be heard, I think there's a way people would come out more, because some of the reasons why a lot of persons don't come out during elections is because of this constant fear of, there could be riot, there could be issues at the ballot, at the election booth and all. It's kind of make them sit back. So I believe the best way I can assess INEC and the security infrastructure for this coming election is, what is the energy, what's the vibe are they giving the people to say, okay, you know what, come out. And in terms of the measures they've put in place to also ensure that people can, those that come out feel safe being at the election. So at the end of the day, when the result comes out, if there is no clear incident that someone is trying to manipulate the result, I think there's no one that would largely complain.
Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave that election. We do hope for a free and fair election in Anambra State. Let's talk about this headline on The Nation that says, Dewey, I joined APC to stop Bayelsa from being buried with PDP. And that headline has us right there. Shatima, Apabio, Yewatda, governors received defectors to ruling parties. This is a very strong statement to say, I tried to avoid Bayelsa State being buried with the PDP. Is it trying to say PDP, is already buried as we speak now? Because don't forget, yes, we have some internal wranglings, between some factions in the party, but should we assume that the party is dead, really?
I think we are living in should I call it uncharted territory in the political space. The high influx of opposition guys moving into the ruling party. Yeah, we've had that in time past, but this time around, the succession and the intensity with which they have been putting into the ruling party is the first time really that we are having all of that. So Governor Diri, His Excellency, would obviously try to say anything to just justify his going into the PDP, and just to justify his going into the APC. When PDP was in power for the past 16 years, they were enjoying it. When their son, former Vice President and President Goodluck Jonathan was in power, they didn't say they were being buried, that PDP was burying them. So I see all of this more as a survivor antics. And so he should say he's trying to avoid being drowned, not the state being drowned. So in the scheme of things, Bayelsa obviously featured little when it comes to the political calculations and manipulations. But when it comes to the economic end of things, I believe they still have some form of, should I call it, contribution to make, because they are an oil-producing state. So definitely that counts for something. But I believe when you are doing your political calculation in terms of numbers and the likes, they don't have that numbers that much. So I can understand him for being worried that based on the whole potting moving here and there, it's going to affect him in terms of either getting favors from the ruling party and the like. So if those are, I presume those are some of the concerns he has that made him say, oh, you know what, let me align to the ruling guys. There is no gain being in the opposition, because truly, if you're in the ruling end, you can get a lot of things done. You can get some certain approvals quickened and the like. So I believe all of that is for the sake of survival. That's why I use the word survivor. But how best does it relate to the average citizens in Bayelsa, I think is left to be seen. Because they have to just oppose it at the end of the day. When they were with the PDP in government, what did they benefit? When they were out of government, what did they benefit? So I presume and I believe that whatever conversations that is being had is largely because they are not in the ruling party. And I think that's just it. So the moment PDP gets back to power, expect that that same structure would move into the party.
I mean, there was a time that the PDP had over 25 governors in the party.
And again, it's also a sign that the PDP has a lot of work to do, a whole lot of work to do. And I don't know, I think this generation of political leaders have killed the party. Already the party was on its way to being buried, but now I think these guys are using their hands practically to bury the party. And it's left to be seen what the incoming generation of the age 35 bracket up and going up gradually can do to salvage the party. If you are leaving the party to these current elements in government and the likes, I don't think PDP will survive another 4 years. But it's left also to be seen what internal structures are going to be put, because they've even destroyed a lot of things.
Speaking of internal structure, let me link this headline to it. I have this one on Vanguard that says, security men shot PDP secretariat amid escalating tensions. Yesterday, you are aware of the counter suspension, the fact that the national chair suspended, Ayahu, that's the national secretary, and some other persons. But then yesterday, Ayahu and the acting chairman, that's Mohammed Abdurrahman, went to the party secretariat. They were barred at first because of the suspension. They were not allowed to enter. But then the police came and then they were allowed to enter. And then the information I got was that even the acting chair entered the office of Elia Damagom, and then sat on the seat and the likes. And now that the security men have shot the secretariat amid all this escalation, because I don't even think the PDP has time for trying to encourage people to join the party. They have a more serious problem to deal with. That's leadership problems, internal wranglings and the likes. What's the way out for the PDP now? Because the court is not helping much, really. The
court has been hijacked. It's no longer the hope of the common man. It's the tool of the rich currently. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see because in any society where law and order, there's a breakdown of law and order, where there's, when you begin to question the integrity of those kept at the helms of dispensing justice, there's a lot, that society is already heading towards a bad place. So I won't say it has gotten that bad or to a field proper level, but that trajectory calls for questioning, and smart mind, wise mind citizens should draw attention to that and see how we can redirect that descent to a much more brighter area. And PDP for me, because in Nigeria, we must not get to a place where there's just one party, because that's what we're having currently. So all of these wranglings in the PDP, I see it as some of the manifestations of the interference of the ruling party in the affairs of the opposition. And while on the ruling party's end, a lot of people can come and say, no, it's not true, it's not that. It's very clear from the way a lot of things is going on. Governors decamping at the intensity at which they are. Within the party itself, they seem not to even have an understanding of themselves. So we can't say all of a sudden they don't know how to manage the party. Because look at the caliber of people at the helms of affairs. So those that have the genuine interest of revamping the party and reorganizing it are being kind of shut out of the party. Those that are doing the bidding of the ruling party are the ones that are just holding, and in Nigeria and anywhere globally, is he who holds the power that can dictate tempo, that can dictate policy, that can dictate the life. So no matter how good your intention is, if you don't wield power, it's just an intention. You can't really do anything with it. And that's what I'm saying with PDP. So going on and moving on, the PDP needs to just figure out a way to say, okay, you know what? Are we tired of being in the PDP? If we want to decamp in our numbers, let's move in that numbers and go to wherever we feel is suitable for us. There's no reason for us to be having this internal wrangling, because there's nobody that is going to make progress in that kind of a setting. No one will make progress in that setting. So why delay the inevitable? If you want to go out of the party and live for those that want. So if you feel like the party, you are going with your weight, your power, yeah, no problem, do. There's one thing I know with life, power abhors vacuum. So it's not possible, once they leave, new set of leadership would rise. So I believe what is happening in PDP is that a lot of persons have overstayed their welcome when it comes to leadership of that party. They've lacked foresight now, there's no more vision. A lot of them are just, they're not even hungry, but a lot of them are just self-centered, just within power. They have no direction, they have no intention. So, and I've seen that happen even at the local level. So to round up on that, PDP is not dead. PDP is stronger at the local level. So their prominence, their strength at national level have always largely been amplified by their presence at state levels. So now, and that's why it's a worrisome trend that blocks of votes that they ordinarily would have gotten over the years are now being turned into, so it's just like another form of stealing votes ahead of the election. Oh, we didn't have the votes in this area, we didn't have the votes in this area, so they get you to come in. Obviously, when the governor is on the ballot, the people would vote for him and his party, more or less. So that's something going on that a lot of people have not seen. So every decamping you are seeing currently are calculations ahead of 2027. So they are doing the numbers already. Let's not forget, in the last election, the 3 top candidates won each of them 12 states. Okay. The incumbent president, His Excellency President Tinubu, won 12 states. Atiku won 12 states. Peter Obi won 11 states plus FCT, making it 12. So the numbers, in some ways, doesn't add up if they go into the election the same way. So what we are seeing is a reorganization of the template and the structure of the country. So those votes are being banged on. So you see a lot of, and if you look at it strategically, in the southeast and the south-south, APC struggled in the last election because they didn't really have any presence in the southeast, south-south. So what do you see today? You see a large number of the Akwa Ibom has gone in.
I mean, look at the Bayelsa governor.
Bayelsa now has gone in. Anambra election, even though he hasn't gone in, he's basically professing and wearing the cap of the president. So you can already start seeing that movement, that tempo. So all of those things are just moves towards the coming election. And PDP, as far as I'm concerned, are not ready for a national election. Because even the court has even barred them from holding the convention, which was to take place this week. So I hope that new leadership would rise out of the PDP. And I feel that's the only saving grace, because it can't be the same element that have gotten the party to this point that would still usher them into a new era. So we have to just do away with certain set of leadership at this moment. And even if it's going to take them a whole election cycle of 2 years, of 2 election cycles to get it right, I believe PDP can still get it right. Because they are, as far as I'm concerned, they're still the largest properly entrenched grassroots party in Nigeria today.
We look out for how that will play out, concerning the PDP. Let's talk about this headline on The Punch that says Tinubu moves to appoint new ambassadors amid U.S. tension. President meets Tuga today. U.S. federal government officials deepen talks. Yesterday, I even read it in the news that, there were speculations that the president, was going to meet, J.D. Vance, that's the vice president. But then, it was actually, the presidency came out to say that's not true. If at all the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will meet with anyone, that's going to be the United States president. But now, Nigerians are asking, is it because the U.S. weighed in on this matter? That's when the federal government, is trying to, select. I think there was a time that some ambassadors were screened, but they were not assigned. So what happened? So is it because, okay, let's assume that the U.S. did not win on this matter. So the talks about let's have ambassadors across, the top, nations of the world will not have, emerged, really.
We have a president that I would consider a local champion. He's smart, he's a strategic politician, but much of his strength is on the home front, where you can easily manipulate a lot of things and get away with it. But on the national scale, there's a lot of question, especially with regards to his emergence as president, and not many countries even congratulated him at the time he won the election. Perception also is not in his favor, both on the African front and international front. So Nigeria, for all of its potentials, has not been regarded. That's one. Secondly, it also calls to question his ability in the diplomatic space. He came into government in 2023, and for any serious country, let me put it that way, you need to have a relationship with the top economies of the world. And your ambassador to those countries is the one that helps you ensure that, your conversation, your interactions, diplomatic ties with these countries are at the very top gear. Yeah. Now, away from even the Trump issues coming up, it also calls to question that the Nigerian government in some way has no regard for Nigerians living in the US, has no regard for the Nigerians living in Russia, living in China, because we don't have ambassadors to Russia, we don't have ambassadors to China, we don't have ambassadors to America. So when issues are going on affecting Nigerians in that locality, in those communities, in those countries, who speaks for the Nigerian community there? Which government? Because when you are the ambassador, you are regarded as the president of the country in that place. So nothing is being done without you being informed, without follow-up and the like. So it means in the last couple of months, years, we've had no sort of representation over there. When the whole trade issue came up, the Americans, that it means that we also did not pay any attention to it, to say we want to even check in. When the Russian crisis with Ukraine and the likes was going on, it means we don't have any representative out there that is looking out for Nigerians to say, the Nigerian community, are they safe, are they okay, are they this? So there's a lot of questions that I'm sure over time, in the coming weeks and days, would dig deeper into this issue, but it's a very bad thing, very, very bad, at least on the diplomatic scene. We are regarded as one of the top economies in Africa. Our country, when it comes to oil, we are the 6th largest producing oil nation in the world. All of this counts for something in the diplomatic space where you can wield your influence and the likes. So it just means that we have been quiet and docile on the international scene. So that's why a lot of things, it explains why a lot of things are also not going well when it comes to how we are being perceived, how we are not even able to get certain things done across the world. And look at it. Look at the kind of leadership Trump is giving the United States, China as well, Russia as well. There's this firm control of, we regard our citizens, we treat them well. So even when they come into your country, you can't harass them, you can't treat them wrongly without questions being asked. But here, we can't say the same. So going on, Mr. President has to figure out a way to get the United States to see him as someone that truly cares for his citizens. And why this is going to be a very tricky terrain for him to move is, the US president would not come out and tweet certain details or information if they were not true. Before they will come into anywhere, they always look for legitimate causes and reasons. So the facts are right. So, and for the president also, he has not done well in terms of the presidency for the citizens themselves to trust him. Because under the same administration, we've seen them tweaking statistics to suit their agenda. So you can't come out and tell me that the US is lying, that certain people are not being killed, when we as citizens already know that whether Christian or Muslim, people are being killed on a daily basis in the North. So which figure, which statistics is the presidency bringing forth to say, oh, the accusation of the United States is faulty? Let's not even forget that we rely largely on instruments, on facilities, infrastructures of the United States for our defense system.
They have said that if care is not taken, they might cut all the funds.
They should.
Nigeria is getting.
They should. Actually, they should.
Do you think we can stand on our own without their
funds? The only reason why I would not clamor for it is that we don't have a government that truly cares about the people.
Okay.
So if we were to have a government that truly cared and was interested in investing in its people, developing its people, yes, I would say that, because that would amplify the ability for citizens to get on and work on stuff. But these aids and the likes, in some way, largely tend to help in the areas where the government is not functioning. But sadly also, when these aids also come, it enters the pocket of the same politicians. So in the real sense of it, the aids doesn't get like that to the people that really need it. It's politicians that walk home with the cash and just come up and say, oh, we did one conference, we did one this, we did one outreach, or we did one program, and the money will not get to the people that is meant to get to. And with the US come and start monitoring all of that, they'll tell you, oh, we've given cash fund or something to 10,000 Nigerians. Oh, how many of the 10,000 Nigerians do you want to go and engage to say, oh, was this given? So the truth is, a large chunk of the money in terms of aids do not even get to the citizens. And that's one of the reasons why in the very first place, the Trump administration closed down USAID, because when they did their review, they realized the resources that was coming in, you can't really measure the impact on the country itself. Okay. It was just politicians that were getting it. So, and to add, there is no way, based on the way Trump had spoken and the likes, that Nigeria is just going to get access to, that's the Nigerian president was just going to get access to the US president just like that by saying you want to go and visit him. No, it doesn't work that way. So what I see happening is the government has to show between now and I think what the government is saying is that the G20 summit might be a good place for them to meet. So that's a big place. They'll just have a conversation, they'll prepare a room in the conference space where they can just quickly go in and have conversations. But we all know that he's a deal maker, so we believe that he should be able to have conversations with him. But it also calls the hypocrisy of the Nigerian government as well. And why am I putting a lot of pressure on the Nigerian government? Is that long before now, even on this show and many other shows across the country, we've always had conversations about insecurity, and the government seems to just be quiet. So why is it that it is when Trump raised it that the Nigerian government now seems to have an answer for it? And all of a sudden, Trump tweeted on, I think, Thursday night. By Friday morning, the military is already doing tweets release that they've captured the terrorists. Before 24 hours ago, they've already announced, and I'm like, from where to where? So people can function. So what changed between just barely 24 hours of President Trump's statement to us entering the dens and capturing terrorists and displaying them for the world to see? So I feel all of these things are still propaganda, and this government loves it. They even came into power through propaganda, and they live and they will die by it.
It's a funny situation. Let's just hope that, this, just like you mentioned, this pressure that is being put on the Nigerian army will continue, to a point whereby we can tackle insecurity. Yeah, but briefly, let's talk about this headline on Nigerian News Direct that says, Lagos police declare Showore wanted as activists alleges shoot on site order. I don't know, you're aware that Showore was recently released. He was arrested in the court. I know he's used to being arrested, but then at this point, should he not, pipe down a little bit? In as much as he wants to defend the people, give them a voice. But then he should be careful about his own person. For someone who has intention of becoming the president of Nigeria one day, honestly.
There's this saying that wisdom is profitable to direct.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's missing in his interaction with whoever it is. So now at this point, I can't say it's the president, I can't say it's the federal government, I can't say it's the police, I can't. So he's the one that needs to sit and assess it. So the thing, and I think when it comes to activism, and which is an issue I currently have with current students of Aluta, let me put it that, meaning students in the university and the likes, when it comes to activism and the likes, is that we seem to always assume that I'm looking for the right word, we seem to assume that the way it operated in 1971 is the way the world still runs today. That skill, that tool, that process in the book, these guys have read it, overread it, and they've finished it up and all. So I feel like he still thinks that whatever issues he currently has can be sorted out by we won't agree, we're forceful, we are this. And that's why I use the word wisdom is profitable to direct. To round up, it's basically just my own advice would be that you should sit down and count the costs. I believe that there are ways that these issues can still be, whatever issues is ongoing, can still be resolved in such a way that the dignity of both parties, whoever they may be, are still largely retained in the eye of the people. And it can move on, because the truth is, whether we like him or we don't like him, he's a Nigerian. And whatever happens to him is a template for how any other Nigerian can be dealt with or harassed or treated. So for that purpose, I believe that I want him to be all right. I want him to be able to go through whatever process. If he has grievances, he should get them aired, and if he needs to sort it out, he should sort it out in an amicable fashion. He still wants to go for president. He still has his own life to live. He still has his businesses to focus on. And I believe if he can sort all of this, he'll be able to move on with life and target whatever goals he also has as well. And
Definitely.
I think that's a nice place to put
We
it.
wish him well. We wish him well, honestly. Big thanks to you, Temitope Eshola, for being a part of the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, it's a fine place to leave it this morning. Stay with us, because big story will come up soon. Samson Balogun is standing by. We'll be right back.